I'm Kyrie.
And I'm Chrissy.
Welcome back
to KK
Anime Show.
And today we're reacting to Death Battle. Shigaraki versus Mahito.
Mahito versus Shigaraki. Yo, I literally said this like when we was watching Jujutsu Kaisen and I thought about Shigaraki. I think it was My Hero. I think we watched My Hero and I saw Shigaraki and I was thinking about Mahito and I was thinking about Shigaraki. I was like, something with their hands, they doing stuff. What if they both got into a fight? So I thought about this. Remember what I was talking about?
Yeah.
Yes. I was the first one. I coined this term, Shigaraki versus Mahito. So, anyways, yeah. About to have a fight that I thought about. They got the idea from me by seeing my videos because it went viral. I guess I don't know. Anyways. Shigaraki versus Mahito, Mahito versus Shigaraki. Hey, it's gonna be a good fight because they both got the hand things where they doing stuff with their hands. Oh, touch me, you disintegrate. Touch me, your body gonna explode to a bajillion squishy pieces. You know what I'm saying?
No. You touch Mahito touches you, he changes your body into whatever he wants to. It doesn't.
Well, that's I don't know. Well, that's why. That's what he did. The freaking what's his name? With the glasses that beat up what's it? Nanami? Man, I miss Nanami, bro. Yeah. When he come out with just Jujutsu Kaisen?
I don't know, baby.
Wow. Anyways, guys, this is gonna be a good fight. Can't wait to see his stats, and then they clash at the end.
I think this is one of the first death battles that I actually know who these people are. Like I know, like it's usually just one person I know, but I know.
So who you got?
I say Shigaraki. If they use what he got going on the last season of My Hero, I think it's Shigaraki.
Alright. Shigaraki. Mahito been in how many? He been in the first season, right?
Yeah, I think it was just the second season. The second season, not the second season.
He was only one in there.
I think he was in there for a little bit for the first and then it was the second season.
Yeah, he was a pain in the behind though, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Go down in the description, check out everything we got going on. Without further ado, let's go. Fight!
Shigaraki versus Mahito.
The symbol of fear versus the human disaster curse.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would
In a
win
death
a
battle.
death battle. Tenko
Tenko
was just
Shimura.
a shy boy who loved superheroes.
Kamaru.
But sometimes the hand of fate
Shigaraki.
find sweet shy boys.
Ruthlessly beaten and abused by his hero-hating father, Tenko pushed beyond his emotional
21.
limits until he activated his inherent superpower, or quirk.
It wasn't something cool like flight or super strength. In his terror, he accidentally killed his whole family. Well, except for dear old dad. That one was intentional.
Tenko wandered the streets alone, silently begging for someone, anyone, to help him. If only a hero was there to save him. But instead, the only open hand he found belonged to the devil.
All for one.
The greatest supervillain in history.
Is
He
he?
took Tenko under his wing, feeding a hatred of everyone and everything, and grooming him to one day lead his league of villains in destroying hero society.
With that came a new name, Tomura Shigaraki, and an absolutely nightmarish quirk, Decay. It does what it says on the tin. Anything Shiggy touches with all 5 fingers turns to dust. The perfect power for someone who just wants to destroy. Pretty menacing, if not for that
Fear
dorky-ass
or.
costume. I get it, hands
Or.
are his thing, but come on, they just look so dumb and fake.
Oh,
Or-
those aren't prosthetics. Those are real hands.
He has that
From
fear
his
war.
family that he killed, attached to his face, and explicitly commanded to be left there by his mentor so that he would never forget his rage.
Okay.
While his use of decay started off relatively weak, it rapidly increased in power and range as Shigaraki came into his own.
Decay isn't even limited to whatever he's touching. Anything that touches something he's decaying also decay.
That is crazy.
Spreading like an all-consuming miasma that can wipe out anything from an enormous tower to an entire city.
If decay reaches you, your only hope is to isolate the body part that is disintegrating before it gets to something vital.
After years of training with the greatest supervillain of all time, Shigaraki was finally put in charge of his own team with one mission. He must kill his master's rival, the #1 hero, All Might.
Only to fall flat on his face.
Shigaraki was a terrible leader, quick-tempered, short-sighted, and, well...
Cringe! Oh, he's just so cringe. He uses gamer lingo unironically. He whines like a baby when things don't go his way. He's the kind of guy who would say normie in real life. In front of normie.
But they say defeat is the greatest teacher of all. Only through struggle could Shigaraki manifest his dark conviction.
Right as All Might's new protege, Izuku Midoriya.
Izuku Midoriya.
His own as well.
These two rivals, the inheritors of their master's blood feud, would push themselves past their own limitations.
Especially when All Might and All For One double KO'd each other, leaving Shigaraki to lead the League of Villains all by himself.
And with the stakes higher than ever before, Shigaraki stepped up. He personally battled the monstrous Gigantomachia for a month and a half straight, and conquered other villain organizations to create the Paranormal Liberation Front. Thousands of new soldiers for his personal army.
All to impress All For One's personal quack, Dr. Ujiko, who spent months upgrading Shigaraki's body to make it more like his sensei's. It might have been constant agony, but Shiggy went from Chud to Chad.
Ujiko's experimentation vastly increased Shigaraki's strength, speed, and durability, enough to match and surpass even All Might's absurd power.
Sharing All Might's power between them, Deku and Bakugo were able to punch an island-sized hole in a cloud that reached 24 miles into the sky. We've calculated that before to be nearly 80 million megatons of TNT, almost as much as the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs.
And Shigaraki can now move fast enough that his body produces hypersonic shockwaves and can even catch laser beams.
And he's tough enough to survive Star and Stripes' intercontinental ballistic cruise punch. Now the new name for Mahito. Move over, gigantic Omega Storm. Anyway, it also made a blast so big it showed up against the curvature of the Earth.
Though he might seem invincible, when Shigaraki's body is pushed hard enough, he will evolve into a state of uncontrollable power.
Disgusting.
Decay became? Oh shit! More hands!
Shigaraki can spontaneously generate flesh into existence, seemingly oceans of it in an instant, whenever he wants. He can even use it as a type of armor to defend himself in close combat.
But that's nothing compared to Ujiko's greatest gift. Shigaraki wanted to be the new All For One, so what better way than the old man's quirk?
All For One's quirk, All For One, allows its user to steal and store quirks with just a touch.
And All For One has hundreds of them stored and collected over the years.
Each quirk is connected to a memory of its user's essence in the form of a spirit, a vestige.
Kinda like a piece of their soul. They exist in this kinda psychic world in Shigaraki's body and can even act as a spiritual defense should it be invaded.
And with those vestiges came quirks like super fast healing, air blast, radio waves, flight, telekinesis.
Is this the right person we need to be going up against?
You can even combine multiple quirks together, like in this
Like
big
you said, what's the name was in like one season, right?
Any vestige stolen
If I'm not mistaken, it was like he wasn't in there for that long.
They're also sentient, and some can even fight for control.
Which is when the second shoe finally dropped. Because Shigaraki also got All For One's
But
vestige,
remember,
that means All For
My
One
Hero
is now
Academia
in
is 7
possession of a
seasons
shiny new body that he'd spent the last 15
Hero
years
Academia is
molding
7
for him to
seasons
take
long.
over.
Yeah,
Shigaraki's
but
entire existence was planned from the beginning. Why? Because All Might's previous mentor was Nana Shimura, Tenko's grandmother.
Oh, that to mess with All Might.
Ooh.
That is some next level hating right there.
He manipulated Shigaraki's entire life, all for one purpose. To create a soul so corrupted, it would grind away at All Might's perfect world, allowing All For One to take full control.
But All For One's possession wasn't complete, and Shiggy managed to fight his way back to the top, literally decaying his way through vestiges in the process, all to fight his rival Deku one last time.
Despite Izuku's best efforts to save him, Shigaraki was too far gone. His spirit decayed by years of venomous hatred.
And the new symbol of hope defeated the new symbol of fear. burying All for One's grudge for good.
All
Damn.
Shigaraki asked was to
Damn.
be remembered as the heartless
Spoiler
destroyer
alert,
he was
buddy.
raised to
Yep.
be, and not the broken, angry, crying little boy he really was deep inside.
For just that one moment, though, Shiggy got in Deku the only thing he'd been denied his whole life. The one thing his lifelong nihilistic tantrum was really all about.
Love.
He got a hero who tried to save him.
Spoilers. Thank you.
Sponsored by
Thank you for not
Gold, you can now
giving us a
enjoy the
warning.
treat- Ever since Cain slew his
Few months
brother
old.
Abel and wetted his
Yeah.
fields with his blood, man's greatest fear has been his fellow man.
But what if this fear took on a life of its own?
What if all that negative emotion humans felt for one another spilled from their bodies and congealed, forming, over time, a living being fueled by malice, which believes in nothing but the law of the jungle?
Well, then you'd have the special grade curse with a patch face, Mahito. Oh, I've had people tell me I've become a human disaster curse when I've had too many
That
mojitos.
fight.
Mahito is one of the deadliest beings to ever afflict mankind. He's no mere mortal, though, but a cursed spirit. Innumerable spirits exist, weaker or stronger depending on the amount of anxieties, jealousies, hatreds, and fears humans feel about them.
Like the fear of locusts, kinda weak. Or the fear of smallpox, getting stronger. Or the fear of fire. Oh, goodbye, Tokyo.
So it follows that mankind's fear of itself would be extremely powerful. Those negative emotions manifest as Mahito, a being composed of cursed energy.
It's basically like evil ki. Cursed energy can be used to make spirits way stronger, faster, and tougher than any normal human. And it's invisible, making curses like Mahito impossible for the untrained eye to see. Only a life or death situation can galvanize a normal person to see a cursed spirit.
That also makes cursed spirits virtually immune to physical damage. They may be physically present in space, but can only be harmed by attacks that embody spirit matter like cursed energy.
Which makes curses insanely hard to get rid of, like ghosts, cockroaches, or my ex. That's why you need a jujutsu sorcerer to come in and kaizen the shit out of them. They call it exorcism, but I like the way I said it better.
Curses and sorcerers have battled each other for millennia, waging an endless war over the fate of humanity. Almost exclusively in Japan, though, for some reason.
But Mahito was special. You see, most
Yeah,
curses
he's
are
gonna toy with
basically
him.
dumb animals. But
Shigaraki.
Mahito has so much cursed energy that it gave him sentience.
So he was recruited by Kenjaku alongside other special grade disaster curses to wreak havoc upon the world. In fact, they made Mahito their leader.
And even more frightening than intelligence and bloodlust, Mahito possessed philosophy.
Perhaps informed by the tragic meaninglessness of interhuman conflict, Mahito is an existential nihilist, believing in nothing but his own will to power. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and Mahito is the wolf.
Which also makes him kind of a goofball. If nothing matters, why not have fun with the slaughter? Really get your steps in. He loves to dig around and toy with your emotions like a cartoon character before slitting your throat.
An appropriate analogy, considering his curse technique, idle transfiguration.
Using his cursed energy, Mahito can control anyone's soul with just a touch, including his own. In fact, he's so good at manipulating his own soul that you can't even kill the bastard without directly
Oh, yeah,
targeting it.
yeah.
In Jujutsu Kaisen, the soul and the body share an immutable connection. Whatever happens to the former affects the latter.
This lets Mahito squash, stretch, and shape-shift his body into limbs.
I can't wait to see this fight now. This about to be crazy.
He can turn his limbs into blades or clubs, grow wings like a bird or fins like a fish, reform his body around injuries,
Sick.
or
He is so sick.
Curse users are naturally unharmed by their own ability. Should he touch a human, though, his alterations to their body
You know, watching that video,
instantly
that
fatal.
fight, he was
and
like,
since
hey,
he's
I
attacking
can clap
your
right now
soul,
with one hand.
those be
No
impossible
hands.
to heal.
Even if his alteration isn't directly fatal,
Maybe
the
the
human
voice clap.
body won't last long in a transfigured state.
Oh, with one touch. God, I thought herpes was bad.
His powers mean Mahito treats humans as effectively disposable dolls that he can gleefully experiment on. The more casualties, the better, especially if he gets to break your spirit first and watch you suffer.
Even more twisted is when he combines two transfigured humans together for soul multiplicity, essentially a giant torrent of body horror that he
Expansion.
reveals
Dimension.
at an opponent. Yeah.
Mahito is unbelievably creative with his application of idol transfiguration, and despite being a newborn curse, consistently keeps experienced sorcerers on the back foot.
It helps that he's a quick study who's picked up
Damn.
a number of different curse techniques, like the Black Flash.
By applying cursed energy within
What just
a
happened?
microsecond of an impact with an enemy,
He broke
space
in.
itself will distort,
Oh, that was the first reason I
exponentially
think you watched
amplifying its
it.
force
Yeah,
by a
buddy.
factor of 2.5.
Not only does this hurt like a mother, it restores your curse technique and gets you fully in the zone.
And would require reflexes moving nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. It's no
Sukuna.
surprise then that Mahito also unlocked the pinnacle of sorcerer techniques, the domain expansion.
Oh shit! More hands! A domain is like a barrier of cursed energy, but if you're caught inside, Mahito can use idol
Dang.
transfiguration instantly without even needing to touch you.
It's called the self-embodiment of perfection, the ultimate expression of Mahito's absolute control over his victim's body and soul. The only time it ever failed was against the student sorcerer and Mahito's archenemy, Yuji Itadori.
Because
You
not
knew
only
that.
was Yuji a barf-inducing goody little two-shoes who believed in the inalienable rights of all living things, blah, 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 he also had a curse inside of him,
The king of curses, Sukuna.
which meant Mahito's ability affected both souls in
Fire.
Yuji's body. Sukuna didn't like that. No surprise, and kicked Mahito's ass, forcing Patchface to fight with a handicap whenever facing his pink-haired menace.
Yuji's belief in the value of human life flew directly in the face of the world that Mahito knew to be cruel and meaningless. So he made it his mission to crush Yuji's spirit before killing him,
Heck yeah.
murdering his friends,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
defiling
that.
their corpses, and brutally battering him before going in for the kill.
And he's got the strength to do it. Mahito's one of the most powerful curses in the world, and his growth is exponential.
Fellow disaster curse Jogo was able to summon a massive meteor capable of reducing the
The
city of
freak?
Shibuya to ash.
That'd take an energy of over 800 kilotons of TNT.
And Mahito can take as good as he can give, especially when, in the throes of struggle against Yuji, he evolved, unlocking a vastly more powerful form, the instant body of distorted killing.
Complete with armored exoskeleton and arm blades, this was a taste of the almighty curse Mahito was growing into, a true blight on all mankind.
It wouldn't last. In a bitter battle of resolve,
He did a lot of damage.
won.
He did.
And
They both did a lot of damage.
world- All right, the combatants are set. and we
So you got
run
Mahito?
through all
Or
possibilities.
Shigaraki?
It's
I said Shigaraki.
time for a death battle!
It's gonna be weird with the soul thing. The soul thing can add like a little difference to it because they both like. Oh, what the freak? Dang! Mahito just killing off rip, right? Wait.
Oh, yeah, because we can't be seen at first.
I'd heard of a powerful villain stalking these parts. My organization is going to tear this putrid world down around us. We could use a freak of your talents.
Little old me. Do I want to be king of the social rejects? How about I bring them your head instead?
Fine by me. Let's call this your audition. Sickum.
What are the nodes?
They're experimenting. I'm pretty sure it's like people.
Experiments? Ooh. Yeah. That was gonna happen.
Game over.
Could you actually just say that?
He's so gross, bro. I don't know, Mahito seems like he got the upper hand, I ain't gonna lie.
Right now.
He seem more adult, like more mature.
Yeah.
Like,
Did I get the part?
you know what I'm saying? Out of the two. No, it's not much.
Decay.
Dang.
good.
Yep.
I might have been wrong.
That all you got? Domain expansion.
Domain expansion.
Domain.
Domain.
I can read your soul. You're just a scared little boy whose daddy was mean and wants to make it everyone else's problem. Grow up.
Hands off my masterpiece.
Who voiced that? That was terrible.
You just said. Now it's
Wait, so he's in his soul? All for One is in his soul?
Build your soul too. You only hate humanity because you were born that way. Totally random. I hate them for a reason.
What the fuck?
You grow up.
well.
He won? Shit. Yo.
What did I say, Wiz? Like a bitch.
With their complex power sets, this match was a puzzle to figure out, which is why we're breaking it down to 3 categories.
Yeah.
Physical stats, survivability, and their
And
But
powers.
first, let's address one thing. Could Shigaraki even see Mahito? He's an invisible curse after all.
Cursed energy and quirks are notably different, and Shigaraki wouldn't be able to see curses normally. However, even regular humans can spontaneously develop the ability to see curses in life and death scenarios. And with the Search quirk, Shigaraki would have had no problem tracking it.
So seeing Mahito wouldn't have been an issue. With that out of the way, we can jump into their stats.
This was no contest. Despite the disaster curses being able to destroy entire cities with their cursed energy, Shigaraki's scaling to Deku and Bakugo meant he was calculably millions of times stronger.
He was faster too, considering he could react to light beams, while Mahito's Black Flash capped out at nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. Nothing to scoff at, but Shiggy was thousands of times faster. Shigaraki takes stats.
But survivability was a little trickier to figure out.
Yep, in terms of raw durability,
Oh, yeah, he did
Shigaraki
survive
was a lot
that, I
tougher,
forgot.
Yeah.
and his ability to generate new flesh meant that he could heal any wounds he might receive super easy.
However, Mahito is a curse and is immune to the kind of overwhelming physical damage Shigaraki could dish out. Not only that, Mahito's regenerative ability via idle transfiguration meant that he'd come back from anything short of spiritual damage.
Considering Mahito's unique curse body, he should actually get the edge in survivability.
Which presents a crucial question. Could Shigaraki even kill a curse like Mahito in the first place?
Yeah.
Or would Mahito's unkillability give him the time he needed to eventually put Shiggy down with idle transfiguration?
It all comes down to their powers.
Shigaraki had a lot more variety with all of the crazy quirks All for One had collected over all the years, but none that we know of could properly kill a curse. That didn't mean idle transfiguration was a surefire bet either, though.
Of all things, Shigaraki's vestiges served as a spiritual shield from the effects of idle transfiguration. The fact that Mahito could not avoid targeting Sukuna while attacking Yuji meant that he couldn't target specific souls inside a person.
And Shiggy has hundreds of soul-like entities inside of him. Sure, each one down means he loses a quirk, but that's more than enough time to land a single hit with Decay, especially considering how much faster Shiggy is.
And Mahito has no way to defend against Shigaraki's primary quirk. Decay has affected spiritual beings in the past. Again, vestiges. In fact, he was able to damage Deku's vestige and have that damage transferred to the Deku in the real world.
Mahito may be made of spirit energy, but he still has a physical form. In fact, sorcerers that couldn't naturally target the soul were able to fight him on even footing. No reason to think Shiggy wouldn't decay him like everyone else.
Giving Shigaraki the third and final
That's
answer.
interesting.
It
To
was a
figure-
unique duel to the death, but Shigaraki's overwhelming might, unstoppable powers, and deadly decay spelled the end for the disaster curse.
Nothing else to say. You really gotta hand it to Shigaraki.
The winner is Tomura Shigaraki.
He won the hand battle.
Yep.
That battle.
Who's next? Who's that? Is that Doom versus?
Subscribe and
Oh, wow.
join as a member.
I thought they
of
did this
Season
already.
Battle. Thanks for watching.
Alright guys, in that episode, it was really weird to try to, like, I know it was like really hard for them to try to figure out who's actually gonna win that, because I saw some like death battles like on Facebook, and people were like, I guess talking about like how he would need to be able to see his soul. Or I think you said something about that, like you.
Yeah, I had said that Mahito he touches people's souls. So if people already know what their soul feels like, or yeah, if you already know, then his power is like basically it's not gonna do anything. He can't change or do anything to affect your soul if you already know what your soul is like.
Yeah, but somebody was like, like he wouldn't be able to kill Mahito because he would need to be able to like kill his soul. Like, you know what I'm saying? He just said anything short of like soul, like anything trying to damage his soul isn't really gonna do anything to Mahito.
He didn't touch his soul. I mean, he couldn't touch his soul. Like, he beat him up. Usually couldn't touch his soul either, and he killed him. Well, he almost killed him.
I don't know. It was. I know it was a difficult fight though. It was a difficult death battle to figure that out because they weird. For sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Anyways, yeah, that was a good death battle. Congrats to Shigaraki. You know what I'm saying? I knew he had it in him. You know what I'm saying? Mahito is very interesting, but you know.
Pain in the butt. That's what he is.
Yeah, he really is. Like seeing how many people he was killing and how hard it was for him to get killed. That's crazy. But yeah, guys, go down in the comment section, tell us what you thought about the episode down below.
And please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and see you in the next video.